Welcome into the Big Dog postgame show. This one from the Viner X Studios. We're going to cover both the basketball game and the football game today. The Big Dog postgame show is brought to you by Viner X Consulting. We make your company work. And by Rick Jacklich, the big dog himself, at the Jacklich Law Group. I'm Wayne, that's Mason, and that's Jordan. And guys, I think we're going to start off with the good part, at least on the scoreboard, which is the basketball game. I'm going to actually go with Jordan. What did you see out there?
Well, obviously, the big story of the game is Pharrell Payne's, in all likelihood, season-ending injury, which, no point sugarcoating it, is a huge blow to the program, but a very strong and resilient performance on the court, without getting too far into that specific topic. The Terps were down when Payne went out and played tremendously well as they rallied around their fallen comrade, but it's tough to be too positive with that one with Payne being hurt, but with Miles Rice out, Solomon Washington, Rakeith Passmore, and Pharrell Payne all being out in the second half, and Terps still winning against a solid Marquette team, you gotta find some positives in that, and I think we can certainly do that.
Mason, Buzz can coach.
Yeah, he definitely can. Inspired effort in the 89-82 win over Marquette. It was just an overall tough situation. I know Jordan just talked about it, but, Buzz walking away seemingly with tears in his eyes and then just, rallying around the team and inspiring them to play to a level that I don't think we've seen. Isaiah Watts picks it up, gets into double figures. Diggy Coit had a really, really strong start to the game, still maybe a little bit out of control in his play. But after that, a guy who I thought played awful, who kind of stepped up, was Elijah Saunders, who stepped into almost like a center role, being 6'7", kind of coming in as a small forward, power forward combo guy. He really struggled, but after that injury, he really stepped up and met the moment. It's a good win on the road. More than likely, we'll finish the season as a quad one win earned on the road. This team, though, they need to get some of these guys healthy and are probably going to have a pretty tough go of it now with between 3 and 4 guys out that were probably in the original starting 5.
Yeah. When you look at it overall, when you end up because you had to, almost a 5 outlook, you got 4 guards, you got Saunders. When those guards can play, when Adams plays well, he's got size there, all of a sudden, where you think you're going to get pounded because you're the small team, you're forcing the other team to go small to cover you. If they go big, your guards are going to just light it up like they did today.
Yeah, I think that, that'll work if Miles Rice, Isaiah Watts, Diggy Coit shoot the ball well. You still have to be able to shoot the ball there. And I thought Darius Adams' effort today was overall far, far improved, was playing confident, getting to the basket, creating things for his teammates, playing under control. Mm-hmm. And this team is going to get better, or the players are going to get better. I'm not sure if the team results will continue to get better with the injuries, but there's guys here that are going to need to develop. They're going to think are 2-3 year pieces, and then there's this kind of unfortunate for them, some of these guys that chose to play their last year eligibility here, and the season may kind of be lost due to some of their teammates being out with season-ending injuries or not having made it onto the court yet at this point.
So overall, 3-1, heading to Las Vegas, some really solid competition, including Gonzaga out there. So it's going to be an interesting trip for the Terps as they sort of point towards that.
Yeah, don't write off the mount who's coming
in
on Wednesday, but yeah, definitely going into the players era. You would think Solomon Washington's going to be back somewhere around now. Their hope was going into the players era that they would have him back. Maybe if he can go, he was still on the boot and on the sideline, so I don't know where that plays in. And then Jordan, a guy who didn't see, George Turkson, it's like, now you're looking at the guys at that level of the bench, Colin Metcalf, Turkson.
Alex Alston got some playing time after Payne went out, and a little bit before. But yeah, the complexion of this team obviously changes pretty drastically with Payne out. He's playing almost 40 minutes a game every night. We'll see. It's going to be a tough job for Buzz this year, but hopefully that last 10 minutes got us some more juice, and we'll talk more about the Hoops game on the podcast, but we got a football game to talk about as well.
Well, talking about a tough job, boy. That Maryland football team, every once in a while, from my point of view, you see that maybe some of those pieces are there. you get in a situation where Malik is a little off platform, he can't complete the ball, then he's on platform and he can't catch the ball. Defense, for me, does enough, but with no help from the offense, they just can't withstand that Illinois running game for today. Terps fall 24-6. It's not as bad as it could be, but not really inspiring that this group this year is going to get it together. We yelled and screamed and jumped up and down for a couple hours, and we lost again. But I'm sure you have more to add to that.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with the positive side of it. I thought that we came out and I'll admit it, I thought mentally we were cooked after last week. And I said it in our midweek show as well. I thought that the team came out, they played inspired football. They definitely were willing and able participants in the game. They were able to stop the run, at least early. This is every game since Nebraska, the Terps have now given up 190 or more rushing yards. I saw that one first from inside the black and gold right after this game. And look, you have opportunities to make the game a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and we just can't figure out a way to reel in one of those passes between A.J. Zizmansky, who drops one, and then Dorian Fleming, who's got his hands on another there in the end zone on that fourth down play. After the defense, I think, proved probably every Maryland fan wrong on the possession before that. This is where we are.
Before you move on, goal line stand, 4 shots from the one, seemingly the season's over, and you rise up and make plays like that. Clearly you haven't given up on this. And then you drive 95 yards the other way, and almost. And that's why I say sometimes look and I go, wow, the plays are there. You got to make the plays. But they're there.
Viner X is the new face of Viner 4Games.
Since 1991, Viner X has made your company work. Enterprise technology management delivers measurable value and real growth for our customers.
From technology planning to project execution, Viner X turns IT into a growth engine, helping you save time, control costs, and drive profits.
And we never forget, it's people first. Technology only matters when it empowers the user.
Viner X, enterprise technology, human first.
Well, I think that's been the season, and I don't know how you kind of want to account for this one in everybody's kind of mythical season for this team, but it seems like another one that kind of goes into that, like we could have, but we just didn't make the play. Mm-hmm. We just didn't meet the moment. We're just not there all around. It just does not happen for us. And
sometimes you look up, and maybe you don't, older people, look up a drug or prescription online that says 95% effective against whatever it is. Well, we spent several weeks being 95% effective at winning a game. Today, maybe we're only 60% effective, but you make a play or two more, and you're in the game. I'm not saying you're going to win it, but you sure could have lost the game 21-12 or 24-14 and actually been in it. So the guys are still playing for Loxley. As I said last week, you've been with some programs that were good. You've been with Temple when they were bad. What did you see?
Not Temple football a ton, but the point still stands. I mean, it's, at some level, it's hard to hold anybody but the coaching staff accountable when you fall short like this, especially when the coaching staff, as many people are fond of saying, in year 7, you could say, oh, the guys don't have the talent, which very well might be true on offense at this point. The offense has just not been effective for the better part of really the whole season. There's very few games I've been able to point to. Maybe Nebraska is one of the few outliers where I can say the offense really did its job. But regardless, if it's talent, coaching, scheme, just something that isn't all the way there on offense, and it's very disappointing to see. I think, at least I imagine going into the season, the offense is going to be a strong point, and it just hasn't been. And it's either the ball's not there, or the receivers can't make the play, or the blocking has been there. It feels like every time you look, something's not being done. And I'm not here to rehash our last show on the future of the program, but this game just felt like a slow bleeding death where I never quite felt like we were really going to win the game.
No.
Nope.
No, and look, going forward from here, I think that, it's kind of like the same thing remains in place going to next week. Nothing is going to change here during the week. you're really going to start to test the resilience of what is going on inside the building. Like, are they going to come out and play with effort and the ability going into next week? Because for those of you, and I'm sure a lot of you that watched it or you've seen that Michigan team play, and you look at the game that we are able to play, you can be in that game. There's no reason why you should not be in that game and bring effort and expect to be able to be there. And really, I'm still on the thing of you need to expect to win to be able to win at this level.
Okay, I wasn't really going to harp on this one because last year at Indiana, we faced a similar thing where technically, mathematically, you're still in the game, and Maryland chose to punt. I didn't like it then, even though it would have meant that you would have given Indiana the ball on your 10 with 2 minutes to go, but you had to take the chance. Today, what was it, 35-yard line? And Maryland decides 4th and 5 to punt. Sometimes I don't understand what's going on because you could have, should have, would have. I would have. It didn't matter at that point. You had to try to win the game because that's your job as leadership. Is you can't give up. You have to be the last guy. I want the toughest guy on that team about winning it to be the guy who's leading it. And it bothers me when you punt in that situation.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add there. I think it's just unacceptable at some level. It does not help the situation overall. And it just does not make sense. I mean, the commentators on TV mentioned it. Certainly saw it a couple places on X right after that. We certainly said it here while we're watching the game. It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, we haven't been able to move the ball effectively at all. So at a minimum, you're getting reps trying to, get up the field and be able to score. You know, it means something to score. These guys do not score a lot of points. They don't get a lot of, they don't find themselves in the opportunity to do that. So you might as well try and push it down the field. It's like, who cares? It scores 35-6 or 28-6. Mike's the first guy to say, I'm judged by the wins and the losses at the end of it. Well, who cares what the score is at that point? You got to try and do what's best for the guys on your sideline, and that's certainly not to punt it and put your defense out there on the field again.
And then McPherson had a great punt. I think it was a 58-yard punt, but not really the point. Do you have anything to add on that one, Jordan?
No, I really don't. I mean, I think you guys have said what has to be said on that one. I think it's an odd decision. Mm-hmm. It's hard to justify, but it was made.
Okay, we'll move on that one. The Star Watch for Zahir and Sidney and what you saw up front. Man, Sidney Stewart, even though I think he was held every time the ball was snapped, beast of a guy. And then on the other end, I saw Zahir with the glasses this week sort of get plowed a couple times. But I know you watch those guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're getting blown off the ball against the run. And look, the numbers chalk up to say that. Mm-hmm. Those guys, and I actually appreciate the scheme adjustment to put a third defensive lineman there and play them one at a time, put them both on the field against the passing downs, and that does show that in some ways it's been made clear that they cannot stop the run, and they both battled injuries throughout the last 3 weeks, and that's the way at this point to utilize the talent to try and create the best result. And at times it worked, and at times it didn't. But you're not going to, with this team, be able to win if we have to consistently be put in poor positions where we're just not scoring. We're not creating energy. We're not creating the ability and the belief that we can win. And eventually, look, you're just getting leaned on. And they made the stop, right? They gave you the opportunity to be there. You get down the field, you have that chance to kind of just flip the energy. And yet again, this season, we're unable to finish.
Well, certainly there are things that you just go, again, like you just aren't refined enough and everything isn't done right, well, especially after timeouts on defense.
I mean, the timeouts and the communication, they cost them 2 touchdowns. Right. One, a guy falls down. The other one, 2 guys are trying to jump a screen. It's simple that we put out the notion to the opponents that are able to scout us fully, especially the ones that have a bye week going into the game against us, that if you run enough of those plays, eventually we're going to bite down because we're just not communicating at the level on the field that needs to be done. And there is blame between players and coaches on things like that. The coaches don't create the culture of discipline enough to know the mental cues of the game, and sometimes to even line up on time coming out of a timeout, which is just mind-blowing that we're in that spot. Yeah. And then on the player side, just sometimes we're just not ready, and getting out on the field and being ready, and it's kind of the thing of like showing up every day to your job. It's like every snap is that same thing, and if you take the same mental capital and put them into everything that you do, the results will improve on moments like that. But look, you can't look at 2 plays in the scheme of a game and say we lost when you lose games by 22 points. And in some ways, it's ridiculous for us to say that, you're right there in some ways when the score spread when the final whistle's blown is that wide. But
you've played in enough games to know there were plays in that game. And if you made that play, it changes the game. I'm not saying you're going to win the game, but it starts to put pressure on the other team. Maryland couldn't find enough plays to actually put pressure on them. You saw the difference in the basketball game. When Payne got hurt, I think Marquette thought they won the game. And at that point, Maryland goes, what's it, 22-7 or 25-7 run?
It was something. And it showed, to Mason's point, resilience, which you could argue starts with the coaching. I'm not going to make that judgment today, but that team clearly felt like they still could win the game with their best player out.
Well, Jordan, I'll counter that a little bit, and there's probably enough of this on this show, is one of Buzz's principles is mental resilience and is the team that he builds. Like, that's his entire sell of his program. That's the entire thing. That's how you take 15 guys that have never played basketball before and get a product that can go on the road and beat a Power 4 team. Yeah, it looked horrible a week ago, but look at these portal-built teams. They could have completely folded again in that Georgetown game, but they never did.
Oh, I thought that was it. Payne, great play, dunks the ball, and then probably out for possibly his career. And Maryland was done, and all of a sudden, wow.
And then you look at what our inability is to do on the football side. And it's a bigger group, and there's a little bit more to it in some ways. There's less to it in others, because sometimes you're managing more personalities when there's 15 guys in the room than when there's 100. Just in the sense of outsized single person creating an issue. But we don't respond that way. We don't punch back. Today we fought harder. I actually was surprised. Again, I was surprised by the effort and the level of effort and the detail through the end of the game to finish. Mm-hmm. But it's just not enough when the little things kill you, the penalties kill you, everything doesn't do it, and we're playing in a zero margin for error because of our inability to drive the football and put up points. Yep. Just can't cover up the mistakes when you can't score.
No, and it's such a far cry from where we were with Leah, where you could outscore anybody anytime. Now we can't, different era, but I still go back and forth. But if you catch the darn ball, which I know somebody's got to go do that. If you catch the darn ball and stay on platform, it's there, but we're just not doing it. And in the end, it's a 6th loss in a row. And I think that about does it for tonight.
Well, one other thing we didn't mention. For both sides, the officiating was horrible in this game. I just want to make sure we get that out there.
But it wasn't the officials' fault that the game was...
No, they did not help or hurt Maryland. Mm-hmm. The fact they missed a pretty blatant face mask on that 4th down, but it was bad. It was not good.
All right, so Michigan comes in next week, give it another shot, and we'll see you from the field at CQ Stadium after the Michigan game. Podcast this week or when?
We should have one out tomorrow and probably one after the Mount St. Mary's game on Thursday.
All right. Thanks for watching the Big Dog Postgame Show. That's Jordan, Mason, and I'm Wayne. We will see you throughout the week.